I'm John Jenkinson. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Let's go straight to the corn market. It's just been slowly leaking lower since the get-go first thing this morning because the May is down a dime now at 355 3/4. And we've been a penny and 3/4, even lower than that earlier today. March 379 1/4. It's down 3.5 cents. Let's look at soybeans. May down 14 3/4 at 834. November down 11.5 at 853. For Chicago wheat, July down 8 pennies at 4.99. Got as low as 4.94 1/4. But I want to turn our attention right now to Todd Horwitz with Bubba Trading. Todd, I looked here earlier this morning when we started the VIX out. We were at 72. We've backed off of that a little bit. And I know that you watch the VIX very closely, and we do here as well. So give us an overall view of how you look at all of this right now with the grain markets, the outside financial markets, the VIX index, the fear that's in this market. What your thoughts are, sir?
Well, obviously, John, there was a lot of fear overnight into the markets. We opened up down limit and stayed there all night, opened a second time down limit, and now the markets are up and trading, and they've made a little bit of recovery in the equities. Now, I still think the equities have a lot more pressure on them, but I think what we've seen here now, if we look at the grain markets, that this might have forced the bottom, which is what we were looking for. We were looking for one more big push down, and I think this is what we got today. Now, I don't know that they're going to bottom today and start to go up, but I think they're going to find a base now, which is what I'm looking for, and start to move back to the upside. And I will say that if the lows are not in, they're extremely close, and I am looking to be a buyer at some point down here. And of course, what I'm really waiting for is to see, I want them to flatten out so they can at least show me that they've got some support, and then I'm going to start to buy pretty heavily because I think this is exactly what we looked for through the entire last week, saying that we needed one more big push to the downside. I think you might have seen that in oil. Now, again, I think oil has a chance to go to 25, but this last bottom might have been made here. So again, you always want to look at what the overall level of the market is and where it sits and where it stops going down. If it can hold that level for a while, it then has a great chance to reverse action. And I think that's what we're going to see for certainly in the grain markets.
Well, okay, and not just specifically grain markets, but there's a lot of folks saying, there's a lot of value in all of these commodities. And you got to wonder if some of our overseas customers and consumers are starting to think maybe the same things.
Well, again, I don't know yet about value elsewhere. I don't know exactly which ones we're talking about, but, again, I focus on grains on this part, and to me, although they're still in a negative formation on, according to my algorithm, according to what I do, I can feel that they've reached somewhere towards the bottom. Some of the other commodities I will stay short for a while, including cotton and the others, because I don't see the same action there yet. I will look for it, but even if you look at rough rice actually made a bottom, a V-shaped bottom, and is now starting to head higher again. So again, what I look for is the right action, and when I get that, which is what we got in grains, that's when I'd be more confident, and that's what I am right now.
Okay, sounds good. We'll come back and we'll talk about that livestock trade and what you think over there as well. Stay with us. We'll be back with Bubba just right after this. All right, let's continue on here with the markets. We'll start over here in the live cattle market first, and I've got a $4.50 expanded limit here today, and we are there with the June contract, but the April is not. It is actually trading 91.55. It is down 403. And the next contract that is locked limit lower is 450 lower. That's December. Feeder cattle market is 450 lower. It is not an expanded limits. That is a daily limit. We didn't hit the expanded limits back on Friday, but we haven't moved off of this daily limit here. Over in the lean hogs, 450 is the expanded limit. We are there with May, June, and July. The April is trading. It's down 170 at 54.67. Marlon Bowling just handed this to me. USDA was a little late at getting this information out, but this is very telling. If we go to the box beef trade and look at this, the choice up $12.37, a huge jump. 220.51. The selects up 12.01 at 213.99. And we moved, and usually move about 70 loads, 199 loads on this report. Wow. Let's look at pork as well. Carcasses up 417, loins up 31, hams up 285, bellies up 1405. Now we're north of $100.88. So all of a sudden there's this big surge coming from demand somewhere. Obviously the meat cases must have been empty. Let's go back to Todd Horwitz to follow up on all of this now. Okay, first of all, the futures. Here we are, in many cases, limit lower on the cattle and the hogs. Your thoughts?
Well, I think this is a great buying opportunity. Now, again, you don't buy them down limit here, but tomorrow, most likely, we'll be stepping in and buying. I think this is, again, what we talked about for the last couple of weeks, that once they finally put this panic bottom in, and I'm sure there's been some forced liquidation here, that now we can go ahead and look for a spot to buy. And that's what I'll be doing, is looking to buy across the board fats, feeders, and hogs, because I think this is what we were looking for, and this is how it is exactly played out. So for me, for my money, the bottoms are close if they're not in already, and we'll just have to let them come off a limit, because one thing I don't do is I never buy when they're down limit until they give me a chance.
Okay, very good. Okay, I want to ask you, there during the break, I was getting ready to ask you, and I wanted to expand on this just a little bit. Do you think the worst of this fear is over in this market, or do you think we still have a long way to go?
Well, I think the markets may have the worst of the fear over for today and for now. However, I do see that, you know, the virus itself, and I believe that there's going to be a full country shutdown this week at some point. Maybe Friday would be the perfect day based on the triple witching expiration. I mean, when I look at the overall picture, I think the only way that they can really get everything under control is to shut everything down and make people stay home. And if they do that, okay, and keep everybody away from everybody else, then the virus will go away, and it'll run through its cycle who's got it, and there won't be new cases, and I think then we get back to normal business. But I think the markets kind of understand that as well. So I think what they're now seeing is, although there's some fear, and obviously we're down a lot, I think that will resolve itself out. But I think everybody's kind of preparing for that, because you've already seen restaurants closed down, Las Vegas is totally shut down. So a lot of places are shutting down, and I think that's just a forewarning to what's going to happen.
Todd, thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you again. Sure appreciate it. So there's the latest, Janet.
All right, I guess time will tell. Pretty strong statements. Thanks, John.